Alright, what's up everybody? It's your boy Akeem and welcome to today's vlog. Here to talk about week 1 of the 2014 fantasy football season. Now, yesterday the Green Bay Packers got crushed by the Seattle Seahawks 36-16 due to a great performance on the defensive side. And I gave you guys some quick fantasy football tips. And I'm actually going to stick with my tip from yesterday. I believe that week 1 of this season is the tester week. It is not that big of a deal. Win or lose, it's not that big of a deal for if you decided to sit a player or start a player. This is the week where we can test out all of our players to see how they perform, and then we can evaluate even better and what our decisions for the next upcoming weeks. So for most of these players, you should go right ahead and start for your first team in fantasy, for your first week in fantasy. But I'm going to give you a couple of advice for some of the key players that I was actually questioned about personally, and I'm going to talk about these particular players, who you should sit and who you should start this week. Starting at the quarterback position, I had a couple of questions about quarterback Colin Kaepernick of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they're going to be playing against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this Cowboys defense is beaten up, torn up, and suspended. A couple players, key players on that defensive side are suspended. And I think this is going to be a good week for Colin Kaepernick, not just throwing the football, but particularly running the football. I think they're going to do a good job rushing the football against the Dallas Cowboys. So I think you should go ahead and start Frank Gore as well at the running back position. Sticking with quarterbacks, Tony Romo, they're playing against San Francisco. Now, I believe that San Francisco 49ers defense is going to probably stuff the run a little bit better than stopping the pass this upcoming game. And I think that it's going to be a more of a from behind effort for Dallas to win this particular game. And I think they're going to have to rely more on passing the football. And I think that Tony Romo could be due for a decent game. Andrew Luck against the Denver Broncos. That's another player I've been particularly questioned about. I'm not really too confident in Indy's ground attack. So I think that Andrew Luck is going to have to pick that defense apart. Now, I know that with the additions of TJ Ward, Akeem Talib, and DeMarcus Ware on that defensive side, I still think that Andrew Luck can do well. And let's not forget, he is a quarterback who is big and he could duck his shoulder and run in the football. He's a tough kid, and I think he's going to blow out for this upcoming season. Now, a couple of quarterbacks who I believe that you should sit and just watch this upcoming week. Andy Dalton against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, throughout his 6-game career against the Ravens, he only passed 6 touchdown passes. I think he's going to struggle for this week. But go right ahead and start A.J. Green, the wide receiver, because at the cornerback position for the Ravens, they're a little iffy, not really confident at the cornerback position, and I think that he could have a good game receiving football, catching passes from Andy Dalton. But I think that Andy Dalton might struggle this upcoming week against the Ravens like he did in previous games. Eli Manning of the New York Giants, now he has had a horrible preseason, and because of that, this is just a game for everybody should just sit and watch to see how he performs against, I believe they're playing against the Detroit Lions. And last but not least, the Cam Newton against Tampa Bay. Now, Cam Newton is actually coming from ankle surgery, and he actually has a couple of fractured ribs, and he struggles against the Tampa Bay defense. So I think he's another player that you should just sit out and watch this upcoming week. At running back, a player that I believe that you should definitely start, a player that I received a couple of questions about, C.J. Spiller of the Buffalo Bills. Now, I think he's going to be a great flex option against the Chicago Bears and that Bear defense. So I think because also Chicago actually gave up 24 points a game allowed per game to running back. So I think that C.J. Spiller, this is a break or miss year for C.J. Spiller, in my opinion, in fantasy football. But I think he would be do good as a good flex player, not a number 1 or number 2 running back, but a flex player for this upcoming week. Now, 2 running backs, so I believe that you should sit out. Starting with Bishop Sankey from the Tennessee Titans. Now, he's actually second in the depth chart behind Sean Green at the running back position. And KC's defense, I believe that they're going to try to make a much better effort in stopping the run this upcoming season. They had to struggle a lot last season. Also, I'm not really feeling Tennessee's passing game with Jake Locker or whoever is at quarterback. So they're going to be depending more on running the football. And I think that Kansas City is going to concentrate more in running the football and forcing the quarterbacks to beat them with their arms. And I doubt that will happen. So I think that Bishop Sankey should be a player that you should just sit out and watch to see how he performs this upcoming week against a good Kansas City defense. And secondly, Trent Richardson against the Denver Broncos. He plays for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, he's another player who was a huge disappointment last season, but I think he has a chance to shine this year. I'm not really sure. I'm very skeptical. He's another player I believe that you should sit and watch to see how he performs. Do not start him this week. Even if he blows up this week, which I kind of doubt, I think you should should definitely sit and just watch to see how he performs, and then possibly use him next week if he has a good game against that Bronco defense. At the wide receiver position, Vincent Jackson versus the Panthers. Now, he will be a great number 2 fantasy receiver for you guys. He's actually coming up in age, and I believe that Tampa Bay will depend more on throwing the football to beat that Panther defense. So I have to go with Vincent Jackson as the player that you should start. Cordarrelle Patterson from the Minnesota Vikings against the St. Louis Rams. Now, this is kind of a sleeper pick, but I think that Patterson, just like how Percy Harvin did against the Green Bay Packers, as a good running back / wide receiver, I think they're going to use Patterson a lot more this upcoming season, not only as a receiver, but even putting the balls in his hands as a running back and different read option plays at the running back position to get the ball in the hands of Patterson. Victor Cruz of the New York Giants. I think, even though I believe that you should sit out Eli Manning, just like AJ Green and Andy Dalton situation, I think you should go right ahead and start Victor Cruz against the Detroit Lions, and because I believe that secondary is not too well for the Detroit Lions, so I think that Victor Cruz can still have a good game. Go right ahead and start him. Sticking with the receiver positions, players that you should sit: Mike Wallace from the Miami Dolphins. They're playing against Revis Island and the New England defense, especially with their pass rushers. I don't think he's going to have a good game. As well as Deshaun Jackson, the Washington Redskins. They're playing against a good pass rushing team in the Houston Texans, and I'm not really too sure fond about RG3. He had a terrible preseason this past preseason, and then because he's new to the team, this is his first year in the team, this is a game that we should sit and watch. He did have a breakout season last year for the Philadelphia Eagles, but he's with a new team, and with RG3 struggling during this preseason, I think you should just sit and watch to see how he performs. Talk about Deshaun Jackson, how he performs this upcoming week against the Houston Texans. At the tight end position, only one player I had a lot of questions about: Eric Ebron from the Detroit Lions. They're playing against the New York Giants. Now, he has the potential to become a good, versatile tight end, just like Vernon Davis, but that doesn't mean he's going to blow this upcoming week. He's a player that just be on the safe side, just bench him this week and see how he performs against that Giant defense. Now I'm going to head over to defenses that I believe that you should start, and I think they can have good games. The New York Jets defense against the Oakland Raiders. Oakland's offense, even though they decided to go with Derek Carr, starting quarterback against the Jets, I don't think he's going to perform well in his first game. I think this is going to be a great game for that Jets defense. A sleeper this week, one of my sleepers of the week, the Chicago Bears defense over the Bills offense. The Bills offense, E.J. Manuel's been struggling a little bit. Sammy Watkins has been playing hurt and getting hurt during this preseason. I think that the Bears would take great full advantage against that Bills offense. So for people who have the San Francisco 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers defense, who I believe that you could probably sit out this upcoming week, I think you should probably use Chicago Bears defense over San Francisco. San Francisco is playing against Tony Romo and that Dallas offense, but Chicago Bears should benefit well against the Buffalo Bills. An excellent replacement for you guys. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys is next week, where I will talk about week 2 of the fantasy football season and all my sits and starts for that upcoming week. Thank you for watching today's blog. From the Football Source, I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.